Hi, everybody, and welcome to Read, Watch, Play, the show where we talk about what we read in Star Trek comic books, what we watched in Star Trek television and movies, and what we played in Star Trek games. And I'm echoing. It's live, people. We'll do it live. All right. As you can see, I said Star Trek 3 times there because this is going to be a Star Trek-centric episode.
If only a Data would have appeared.
If only a Data would have been. That would have been cool.
Or Q. But I think I would have been a little terrified of what Q would do.
Just a smidge. So we're going to talk about comics, what we read in comics. I got a little bit caught up on Star Trek To Bold to Go, and I read the next 2 issues of Star Trek Green Lantern Crossover Volume 2, so I'll talk about those.
And I watched a whole bunch of Star Trek that I marathoned while I was sick in bed for most of the weekend.
Really?
Because I watched things that you should not watch while you're sick in bed, and then I needed to watch something to...
You needed a palate cleanser.
I needed a palate cleanser, and that became Star Trek The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine.
Whenever I am sick, like stuck home sick, and I can watch TV, sometimes I'm too sick and I just lay in bed all day. But if I'm too sick and I lie down, I have to watch sci-fi. The last time I was sick, I had strep throat, I watched The Expanse.
Good call.
I once had, that was actually not a great call because because people get sick with that thing that they find. So,
yeah. But it's a good show.
It's a great show. Yeah. I watched the first season.
It's the sci-fi show we needed when there was nothing else out there.
In my opinion, it's probably, at least until Sunday, hopefully, the best sci-fi show on television right now.
I'm not going to speak for Discovery, but I think it's a brilliant sci-fi show. Like I think it's like the show we need.
Yeah.
You know?
Discovery is going to be the show we need, or The Expanse?
The Expanse, because it's great sci-fi, but it's still different. And stands on its own. And I mean, when's the last time we really got something like that?
I think Battlestar Galactica has been the last time.
Right, and even then, that's a remake of something.
Exactly,
like,
and that to me is probably it's in my opinion, it's the best television show ever made. In my opinion.
Damn, you're savage.
It's true.
I had some issues with the final season. But
I did not have issues with the final season.
Wow.
So,
wow, you're brave.
I am. Although Sherlock up until the last season was almost the better television show. So we are going to jump right into comics because we get a lot to do. And for the What Did We Watch segment, we're going to have a special guest with us, and I'm going to go head-to-head with Star Trek trivia. So my reputation is on the line. I claim to have a PhD in Star Trek. So we're going to find out tonight if that's true.
I can't wait.
Cliff is going to be our host for the trivia section. With
my gigantic trivia Star Trek die.
We are using the... Oh, wow, that's unfortunate. We're using the Star Trek Trivial Pursuit game that just came out last year for the 50th anniversary in the Shuttlecraft Galileo. This has questions in it from all 5 television shows and all 10 of the original series and Next Generation movies. It does not include anything from the Kelvin universe. But it does cover all 5 television shows and the 10 TOS and TNG movies.
Keep it classy.
Very excited. Yes.
Keep it classy.
Keeping it classy. All right, so let's jump right into comics. We're going to start off with Batman: The Red Death. So let me tell you, the covers that they're coming out with look amazing.
They are, and this is another metallic cover.
Yep. Oh yeah, show that baby off. Ooh.
Beautiful.
So, and this whole concept of evil metal versions of Batman mixed with, superheroes is fascinating. Is it any good?
Okay, so I actually tweeted all the writers this afternoon to thank them. Thank them for bringing me back for getting me interested in Dark Knights again. Because, clearly I'm alone in this because, the internet is against me. But, Batmanium.
Yep.
That really knocked me out of the story, and I was not in love with it.
It occurred to me that I showed somebody that panel today, and it occurred to me that what they're saying is that they're literally turning Batman himself into,
the doorway, yeah.
A metal.
Yeah.
Into a substance. So if you think of it in those terms, like, oh, that's really cool. But the fact that they label it,
yeah, no, the
that
labeling
to
it
him
just
is-
knocked me right out.
yeah.
I'm like, well, that's great. But anyhow, and I in my tirade last week. So basically, Challenger's Mountain like emerged in Gotham City. Okay, so if you remember from when we discussed earlier with the Blackhawks and the history of what Carter Hall had been doing, using all these older DC teams to research the metals. So of course, the search for more answers to nth metal. You know, he used the Challengers of the Unknown and the Red Tornado android. And of course, the Red Tornado android woke up and attacked everyone and said, no, don't go after the metal. It's horrible. So anyhow, here we are, and it's the Red Death. So it opens up like Crisis, and the voice is, you know, it's a red on black voice talking to you. Excuse me. And it says, you know, stop me if you heard this before. Worlds will live, worlds will die. And, you know, you see like a little Crisis Earth panel of destruction. And it's like, you know, and then some of these, he's like, so the worlds you're used to seeing in the DC universe, you know, they all live, right? But what about the ones that are meant to die, right? The ones that are out there that are destined to just fall apart, right?
Yeah.
And that is the Dark Multiverse. So we go to a world where the Flash is alive and he's racing around trying to keep everything together, and he's arguing with Batman, and he's like, Bruce, you're the smartest man I know. Like, help me. We'll figure this out. And he's like, no, I'm getting older. I'm getting slower. And it's like, it's you who need to give it up. You should give me the Speed Force. He's like, Bruce, I've tried to use the Speed Force to save everyone I love. You know what's happened, the consequences. The Speed Force is not going to help you. Now, mind you, Bruce has clearly killed the Rogues and has all of the Rogues' weapons. He's got Mirror Master's gun, Captain Cold's weaponry, Captain Cold's helmet and the gun. He's got everything. And he starts using the weapons to go after Barry. And he's like, why would you? He goes, the Rogues never stop me with these weapons. Why do you think you can? And
because he's Batman.
oh yeah, he jumped into a mirror with Mirror Master's gun, screams at Barry, you're right, I have better toys, and drives a bat tank right out, or Batmobile tank, right out of the mirror into Barry. Then hits Barry with a Mr. Freeze toxin that freezes you from the inside out, and he's like, it'll disable you for 3 seconds, I won't need 3 seconds, punches Barry, knocks him out. When Barry wakes up, he is strapped to the hood of this Batmobile monstrosity, and Batman has copied cosmic treadmill technology with this Batmobile, using Barry as the battery and driving them off into the Speed Force. While with Barry screaming, not like this, Bruce, it won't happen, you'll kill us both. And what happens is they fuse and become the Red Death. And Batman is sure he will save the world now. This Batman, anyway, is sure he will save the world now because he has the Speed Force. In the meantime, for every thought bubble that belongs to Bruce, there is a thought bubble that belongs to Barry that follows. They're approached by this dark, menacing voice that is the opening narrator of the story, and it is another Bruce, and it is what I call the Joker version of Batman from whatever world he's from. And so as we watch their world die with the red sky and everything, which clearly it just looks like Crisis has come to, you know, ruin this earth, he is pulled away, convinced that we're going to go to a world that lives and we're going to model it after our own. So now we get our first instance of the Batman coming to DC Earth, to mainstream DC Earth, right? Bat Flash appears in Central City, okay, doesn't necessarily attack Iris and Wally West, the younger Wally West, not the I came back from the Speed Force Wally West. And they immediately start aging in his presence, so way to go. In the meantime, the Barry voice inside his head is like, no, this is terrible, no, 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 no. And he starts taking over Gotham City. And Flash shows up to get involved, is no match for this evil Batman and his crazy, weird, dark metal Speed Force bats that attack him and start sucking his life force. Horrifying. And you see Dr. Fate's Ankh, which I'm very excited to see Dr. Fate in a mainstream event. Dr. Fate's Ankh appears and pulls Barry away. So I look forward to this going somewhere. I'm very excited about that. And of course, now he has taken over Central City. and airs, the Bat Flash bat signal that belongs to him. So now we know that not only have they come to mainstream DC Earth, and Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman are all missing, by the way, but of course they're going to take a city and make it their own. Which brings us to Teen Titans number 12.
Dun, dun, dun.
Which is Gotham Resistance Part 1, a Dark Knight Metal tie-in. Now, as you know, I'm flipping out because I was like, I thought this wasn't going to be such a big event. So many tie-ins, rah, rah, rah. It was good. I was happy. There's a lot of characters in this book. It's really well managed. So we start with the Joker Batman, because that's what I'm going to keep calling him, who has all the little vampire, Robins, who by the way, I assume they are all Jason Todd or something creepy like that. They all say Crow, as in crowbar.
Whoa.
Over and over and over. So, and of course, he's clearly the person who was speaking to, Red Death Batman because, it's the same bubbles. So these Robins are with him, and he offers, first starting with the Riddler and then all these other people in Arkham, one of his cards, right? Which looks like a card from a playing card. We find out that they're made of their own metal, and they allow each user to warp a portion of Gotham in their own mind. So part 1, they face off against the Joker, who created a labyrinth. Damian goes in, and Green Arrow is behind him, and the Suicide Squad is present, and so are the Teen Titans are far behind. So we're juggling all these characters. We end on a little bit of cliffhanger with Nightwing showing up. But anyhow, super cool because I love how they're doing this. It's like, we get this whole Gotham thing. So Gotham alone, just one crazy evil Batman has shown up, and Gotham alone is worthy of its own multi-part crossover just to handle all these savage, out-of-control villains, which would be Riddler, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy. I forgot who the last one is.
Mad Hatter.
And the Mad Hatter.
Isn't there another one?
Let's see. Go back to the second page.
Oh boy, who's this one?
And Bane.
Oh, Bane.
Is that Bane?
Right?
Yeah, it looks like Bane. Or
Oh no, this is Bane.
Bane
that?
and Firefly.
Ah, Firefly.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
there's 5 of them.
Holy cow. So of course one of them looks like Alice in Wonderland.
Well, the Mad Hatters, yeah.
The Mad Hatters. So anyhow, great setup, great management of the characters, and Green Arrow, when he just appears out of nowhere to team up with Damian, informs us. By the way, this book takes place 2 days after the Mountain appeared in Gotham City. The Batman Red Death one, when he shows up in Central City, it's 3 days after the Mountain appeared in Gotham City, the Challenger's Mountain. Very interesting how they framed that for us. But anyhow, this is 2 days later, and Green Arrow tells us, or telling Damian, that he has already come from his city, having been taken over by a Batman.
Whoa.
So that's really cool.
So we're going to see that, too.
We're
right?
definitely going to see that. So obviously it's going to play out one of the other titles. So I'm really happy.
Cool.
So that brings us over to Nightwing 29. Boom. And now it's Gotham Resistance Part 2. Nightwing has shown up. Of course, Damian had screamed out to him, is that my father? And he screams, no, it's your brother. Very cool. He is Bruce's legal adopted. So they are brothers, right? Also out, if you could find it, Nightwing Must Die. Excellent book this week. Him and Damian meet, and they recap a lot of the time of that they were Batman and Robin while Bruce was missing. And they go up against all of Nightwing's rivals, including Bloodwing, who has been repurposed and reinvented one more time. And it's really cool, and I don't have it with me, but it's on my recommended reading. So anyhow, back to this. We have the Suicide Squad there with Harley and Killer Croc. Get right into it with Damian, Green Arrow, and Dick Grayson. And Croc is actually pretty smart. He sees what Dick is trying to do to take down the snow monster that Freeze has created, and they knock it into the automated tram, and then it dissipates it. Then they start heading for the source. They actually find a Court of Owls headquarters where they're attacked by Mr. Freeze. It's revealed to us that one of the Robins that Joker Batman has is a Jokerized version of Damian, and he's going after the Titans. And he's sending the flock of Robins, or murder of Robins, as I'm going to call them, right?
Ha ha ha.
He sends them after...
Trademark.
He sends them after the Titans. These guys defeat Freeze, find out some stuff that the Quarter Owls was hiding. They get some metal weapons in there to go out and handle more of what Freeze is throwing at them. And just when they feel like they've made some headway and some success, there's also what appears to be one of Mr. Terrific's T-spheres floating around, grabbing stuff. They think it's just a regular metal sphere. I think it's one of the T-spheres, because that makes sense to me. And Mr. Terrific has already appeared twice prior to all these events. And it starts collecting the metal cards as they defeat their enemies. Meanwhile, the Titans have all been monsterized, and the Suicide Squad. And next up is Suicide Squad 26, Poison Ivy's Jungle. So we have that to look forward to next week. Whoa. And it just... I was a little upset and a little lost, and I'm so back in.
Wow.
And Joe joined us. Yay!
Hey, Joe. Oh, and Rob. Hey, Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Awesome. All right, well, let's jump into another DC book. Oh, you've got a bunch of DC books. All right.
It's almost all DC.
All right.
Sorry, guys. I was sick this week, but I got some reading in, so yay.
All right, so next up is...
Justice League number 29.
Justice League number 29.
Yeah, big, crazy cover. Of course, Wonder Woman is front and center. Okay, so as we left off last issue, right? Wonder Woman must die. Which, of course, I don't love that. But she feels she's responsible for something. By the way, I've been ignoring Simon Baz's portion of the story. Oh, what a faux pas. And he and Steve Trevor have been at Midway City where that whole violent fiasco started at the beginning of the series. And they've been containing that situation. So the kids follow Wonder Woman. All the kids except for Serenity, Aquaman's daughter, have gone after Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's like, oh, these kids think I can't hear them. The kids attack her, and she starts fighting back to protect herself. While that's happening, Aquaman is going around, evil future Aquaman is going around rounding people up.
Which he has...
a Black Lantern ring, cyborg technology.
And Metalloid's body?
No,
Does he have
cyborg.
kryptonite?
Yeah, he has kryptonite too.
I was going to say,
he's got
a kryptonite like mace at the end of his arm.
He's got and a rod that produces red sunlight.
Whoa.
Now remember, he's already attacked Batman. I don't know why he did not abduct Batman.
Holy cow, he beats the crap out of Clark.
Yeah, he beats the crap out of Clark. Lois tries to defend herself.
That is the most graphic imagery I've seen in a DC Justice League comic.
No, it's been bad before, but it's pretty good here. And of course,
I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, but that looks like Superman's getting the crap kicked.
Oh, he totally did. I don't know how Batman got away. We never see that. Like the whole last issue, we did not follow up on Aquaman and Batman at all. But we knew he attacked Batman. What did he do? Attack just to walk all over him? I don't know. But he took Clark. He kidnaps Cyborg. He takes Flash and he takes Jessica. And Wonder Woman and Hunter dumps everybody right next to Simon Baz, who's containing whatever it is at Midway City. And of course, and it's been speaking to him. It's been getting in his head the whole time. He finally opens the force field, lets it out, and all of that dark energy goes right to Wonder Woman. And then Aquaman confronts Mera and his daughter because they've been hiding out in their own spot. And of course, you see the temple or super headquarters of Sovereign has emerged. So whatever this darkness is, it's using Wonder Woman as a host, and it is Sovereign. So hopefully now that these kids are here, they can fix all of this, and that's where we're at.
Wow.
But I think it's a good story, and I'm glad. A lot of people have been really beating up the story because Wonder Woman's the villain, you know, they feel like it's unrewarding after she just was like the biggest movie success of the summer.
I know, but the thing is I don't like. She's not the villain. It's the idea of her being harmful in the future, that's that's what you're fighting against.
Yeah, and of course
And
she's the host for the villain,
Right.
unfortunately.
Right. Well, now it's becoming clear that she does in fact have a part in this, whether it's willing or unwilling, and that's kind of interesting.
So I'm down with it. I feel Brian Hitch has been getting a lot of flack, but I mean, like, it's a pretty solid story.
Awesome.
And now we know why Wonder Woman mysteriously abandoned her kid in the future. It's because whatever this thing was, it eventually claimed her.
Yeah. So that brings us to the last DC book for this week.
This is the last DC. Yes.
Which is Super Sons.
Super Sons number 8. So this is Planet of the Capes Part 3.
Planet of the Capes.
I like how they're wearing suits and Damian won't take off the Robin gloves on the other cover. But anyhow, it's super cute. It was cute. Anyhow, so last issue, that wizard dude that they fought sent them to, as we find out in this comic, another world. And on this world, they run into 2 young girls who are like protecting them, blasting things, rescuing them, and of course, Damien's like, oh, we should give the girls backup. The girls tell them how they came from a world of capes, right? A world where almost everybody was a superhero. Wow. And how their wizard, I forgot his name already, Calabra or whatever, right? Used some magic, rescued them. We haven't covered This Isn't Fairyland or whatever yet.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Rob.
Rob, you can come on and talk about I Hate Fairyland.
There you go.
Which, by the way, I think you have some copies if you didn't pick them up the other day.
Look at that, 2 for 1.
Yeah.
So,
these evil versions aren't Metal Dark Knights related. Evil versions of what?
Of Batman? Yeah, they're totally Metal Dark Knight related.
Yeah, the evil versions of Batman, like the evil flashback.
Yeah, they're the ones who were released at the end of Dark Knight's Metal number 2. So now we're learning about them and their horrifying influences.
If you're talking about the evil versions from Justice League, I don't think they're related.
No, that's not related at all. Completely unrelated. No. So anyhow, so I've put together as the reader that those hunter guys, the faceless dudes with the big ears, there's more than one of them. The kids managed to defeat one of them with, a little ingenuity and super breath. Mm-hmm. And from what the girls have told them, either there's 2 versions of the same wizard guy, or what I believe, this evil ego-like thing that originally attacked their planet that was full of superheroes took over all the heroes there, and that's why the kids have been fighting these mystery dudes. And then by the end of the issue, my theory is rather clear. So I still like the boys hanging out together, playing Super Sons, and it's a fun story. And they still have some good quiet time. The 2 boys, like, they start talking about traveling to other worlds and stuff because they are on another planet, and he's like, I've been to, and John's like, I've been to some weird places with my dad, and he's like, what about you, Damien? He's like, I've been to Apocalypse. It was hell. Let's not talk about it. And I was like, wow.
I really like the artwork in this.
Oh yeah, Jorge Jimenez is doing an amazing job. He's just knocking it out of the park. Yeah, the 2 girls, freaking awesome.
The girl, hard shot.
Hard shot and hard line.
Yeah, big shot and hard line.
Yeah, you can hold them up. It might
I want this comic. Like, I want them.
Right, I want them in their own book. They look great.
That looks amazing.
Yeah. So obviously, all woos this time for me.
I was gonna say, where are we with all this?
Yeah, I'm really a good time, and I'll call them all worth the price.
War for the Planet of the Capes.
Yes.
Nice guys.
Yes.
So what do you think came first, the story pitch or the title pitch?
I feel like they were hand in hand.
You think?
I
think they came up? You think like they came up with the idea and they were like, "Oh, let's call it Planet of the Capes."
Yes, and they're like, "Let's pitch this," and the editor was like, "I love you, and we're doing it."
Yeah.
Well, also, I mean, look at the title. I mean, it's the Super Sons. I feel like it's just so fitting.
Yeah.
All
right. So,
and finally, I move on to a Marvel book. Woo!
Oh, I was gonna jump into my Star Trek stuff first.
Let me wrap it up.
Oh, yes,
and
sir.
Then you can go. Then we can Star Trek it up.
And then we'll just go full on Trekkie.
Yeah, Warp 8.
Warp 9. That's the faster one.
I know, but it's also most dangerous.
No, it's just the max speed.
But yeah, but doesn't
unless you go Warp 13, which was in the original series, and they reconfigured the warp speed chart And then, of course, if you have transwarp, you turn into a giant salamander and
Oh, I
have
hate
little
that.
salamander
Why that was
babies.
so bad? What did they do? Was
Yeah,
it-
Billy, our special guest, who's going to go head to head with me trivia, is nodding his head like, yeah.
Yeah, warp. Was it warp 10 to slingshot around the sun to time travel?
I don't think they ever actually said a warp factor.
They did in that movie. They said we have to do warp whatever, slingshot around the sun.
They
They said
not
that
warp
in
10.
the fourth
Star
movie.
Trek 4, yeah.
Yeah, I can't. He names the warp, but I can't remember. Anyhow, not important.
Very important.
Not important to
When
me
you need to
because
save-
I'm not
when
the
you
one
need to save Earth
participating.
by bringing
I'm-
whales forward in time. You need to know what warp you're going. All right. So, Generations, The Marvels.
Miss Marvel and Miss Marvel.
Whoa. I thought it was going to be Captain Marvel, but that's Miss Marvel.
No,
Miss
they
Marvel.
already did the Captain Marvel one, which is pretty funny.
Oh, that was.
yeah,
was that-
Carol goes back and
Marvel?
sees Marvel,
Marvel.
and this is Kamala goes back and sees Carol, and Carol is the fashion editor for Lady Magazine, part of the Daily Bugle publications. So Jameson is her boss at the time, and she's younger. And
I love the artwork.
the artwork is gorgeous.
It,
It is
like-
throwback.
It is like
amazingness.
It's like 70s, like
It's 70s greatness.
it's like Mad Men in a comic.
It is. It's so wonderful. And of course, everyone
see if I
gets
can find a-
everyone gets Kamala's name wrong, so she's Kareen. Yeah, so great.
That is so awesome.
And she's like, so Carol doesn't know me. This is like very different.
Yeah.
And she's like, Carol seems happier. She's not carrying the weight of the world on her. And I thought that was such a great thing to talk about. So in their offices, they're like, we missed the mark. Like, the numbers are bad. Women don't want to read about politics for some reason. So what does this mean? We're just going to give them, beauty regime stuff and everything. And it's like, Kamala or Kareen, you're young. What do you want? What do you want? Like, what do the girls want? And she's like, protesting and unicorns? And they're like, okay, we'll come back to that. So then, of course, they're fighting this woman who's trying to buy out the company. And she's really a Shi'ar, excuse me, a Shi'ar warrior. Hilarious. I forgot what her name was. It's Night Scream. Her name is Night Scream.
Night Scream. What a 70s.
So
What a
70s.
70s superhero name.
And she's and she's just the 70s hair, the Shi'arness of it all. It's hilarious. And when she's in her civilian disguise, she calls them like meat bags or something like that. Like just a dead giveaway that she's alien. Anyhow, really good. And Kamala comes up with a game-changing editorial piece, which becomes the cover story for Lady Magazine and sets the trend of the book. And Kamala's story is basically like, how do I do, like we're fighting a war, how do I do my makeup? Something like that. And it was about we really want to stand up for ourselves, we really want to ensure our equal rights, but we also want downtime to enjoy things that we actually enjoy, which I just think is like everyday humans. Anyhow, I thought it was really well handled, and it spoke to the two characters very well. And of course, they got to team up and actually do stuff, and
It was fun.
it was fun, and it's the most important thing. And I don't know, lately, I'm kind of with you, where like either the story has to impress me, or it's just got to be really fun. In this case, I got a little bit of both.
Nice. So, woo?
It's a woo.
Awesome.
The new Hulk issue has sold off racks everywhere, so I'm recommending that. I don't even know what issue number we're on. All I know is can't find it. Sold out online for Midtown Comics. If you're a Hulk fan, hunt it down.
Totally Awesome Hulk or Hulk with
Totally Awesome Hulk.
Totally Awesome Hulk?
Hunt it down. Whatever's happening there, we're going back to Planet Hulk in September, which we're in September, so I think grab those issues. Because it's going to be big, especially if you like Hulk. If you're like me, I don't care. I do like Hulk, but I'll get the trade. I've read Mr. Miracle #2. Let me tell you something. Metal is fun, but the mind-blowing book that everyone should be reading and is also selling off the racks, definitely pick up Mr. Miracle. It's so freaking good. You know, big reveal at the end of issue 2. Spoiler alert. Big reveal for issue 2 is, of course, the new Highfather is Orion. And Lightray says to Orion's biological son, Mr. Miracle, scot-free, well, who did you expect to become the new Highfather? It's a great book. I'm just giving you one line that just stuck out and I left. God, it's such a big week. The Thor Generations, by the way, went into second printing. And
Really?
second printing came out today.
This is great. This is fantastic news because...
Well, something's happening, but I think like the fact... apparently that book set something up. Remember the first whole half of the issue is the Asgardians planning to go to battle with Apocalypse. And Jane Foster shows up right in the middle of that.
Yeah.
So maybe we got some unfinished Odin. Oh, and of course that Odin and his love affair with Phoenix. Right, that also happens. That and Phoenix is coming back.
Yeah.
It's a second
and
print.
Both
people.
Phoenix and Odin are in Avengers 1 million BC or whatever it is.
Right, Avengers 1 million, which is part of the Legacy line of books. So if you didn't pick up the first print, go pick up second print. Certainly worth taking a look at it, and it was a good story. So yeah, crazy stuff. So many freaking things came out today. There is also a trade for the N League that came out today. Hardcover, 12-issue story packed into it, $39.99. Amazing. You got this great story for your $40. You know, nice. And it's a nice deluxe case. I think I've said I tried to sum up everything I could remember. So there you have it.
Well, let me jump into Star Trek to Boldly Go. So this issue 11 just came out today, and I am I finished issue 9. So I'm almost caught up. I was hoping to be caught up before we did the show tonight. So last time we left off, they had rescued Spock from the Borg. They had fixed him all up, and then because of their intrusion into Romulan space to help fight the Borg, this is the second time that the Enterprise and Kirk have gone into the Romulan border. And the reason the Borg were there because they were looking for the Narada, which was Nero's ship from the future, et cetera, et cetera. So,
and how did the Borg detect it, or we don't get into that?
Well, the Narada, when it went back in time, apparently transmitted the Borg technology that was used to make the Narada. So Nero, I don't know if I explained this last time, but what's not explained in the 2009 movie is that in the future, in the prime timeline. Nero, after Romulus exploded, Nero flipped out, and he took his mining ship because he was this was a simple mining vessel. He took it to a place called the Vault, and the Romulans had a Borg sphere that they were doing experiments on and retro engineering the technology. So he used that to fortify his ship and make it stronger and better and faster. And then he was going to go after the Federation, and in the process, Spock tried to stop him and stop the supernova, and it was too late, and Nero went back in time and changed the events.
And that's why he had all this outrageous technology on top of the fact that my mining vessel is already superior to
and that's
your
why
stuff.
It looks all weird, is because it's got Borg technology. And so the Borg come, all this stuff happens. Anyway, so as reprimand to Kirk, they request that his Romulan, his half Romulan, half human first officer stay, and she decides to do that. Kirk is like, "I'll get you out of here. I'll get you back." She's like, "I'm doing this for the safety of the crew," so she stays.
So they rescue her?
No. They leave her.
Okay.
This is them leaving her. So that's the last issue. That sort of wrapped up the Borg.
But wait,
stuff,
but
right?
she was that during the time frame of the movie?
So So this stuff happens from after the Enterprise is destroyed in Star Trek Beyond,
Okay.
and before the new Enterprise is finished at the end. You know how they fast forward at the end of... So this is taking place in between that time.
Okay.
So Kirk is the captain of the Endeavor. Talos is his first officer, who is half Romulan, half Klingon, half Romulan, half human.
Okay.
Grew up on Earth. Spock and...
Very, very anti-Spock, basically.
Yeah. Spock and Uhura are on sabbatical on New Vulcan, and then she helps decode the Borg message, and then they go and they meet up. And remember, Sulu is on the Bradbury with Captain Tyrrell.
Okay.
And he gets assimilated, and then Sulu is in an escape pod with his family, and they get rescued. So now Talos is left. The Borg stuff is over, and the very next issue we jump into a standalone story about Jayla, who is the woman from Star Trek Beyond that they find on the planet. She's the
So does
white
that
and
story
black.
take place after we met her or before we met her?
This is about her at the academy, and she is flashing back. She remembers
being
with
raised
her
in that
father.
ship.
Well, so basically what it does is it progressively moves back in time, the flashbacks. It talks about when her father was killed on that planet by whatever that guy's name was, the captain of the Franklin that became the weird alien.
Hopefully that's a trivia question.
Well, no, it's not.
I know, I'm
Calvin.
being funny. You know,
these questions are hard.
I
They're
like
very
that.
hard.
I like that movie, but the story for him was fleshed out, but the character was not fleshed out. It just didn't feel balanced.
So I don't mind the character stuff. The thing that bothered me was that Star Trek Enterprise is canon within that timeline. And they do not touch on... I mean, the uniforms kind of look like it, but the NX thing, the ship doesn't even look like an NX-01. Like, it just... There was a lot of things that they could have... There could have been more prominent touchstones, and they literally could have just made, like, an NX-04, made it the ship from Enterprise, made it the Enterprise uniforms. Like, the only reason I think they didn't was maybe some legal issues between Paramount and CBS, and that if they had made it so close to Enterprise, they would have had to pay for those rights and things like that. That's the only reason I can think of why they wouldn't have done that.
That, or, you know, what I call the time travel ripple effect.
That it goes both ways?
That it goes both ways.
Possibly.
You made your point of impact, and then...
But they talk a lot about things that happened in Enterprise, the Xindi War, the Mako.
The Archer's dog. Captain Archer's dog.
Oh, that's in the first movie.
That's in the first movie,
Absolutely. Admiral Archer's prize beagle.
So maybe you're right, because that makes more sense.
Yeah, so
But it is all CBS Paramount. You'd think they wouldn't have internal conflict
Well,
over money.
they are technically two different companies.
I know, but
there's
the
a
same
lot of
parents,
things.
and that's what upsets me.
So and then it goes back in time to Jayla and her father, and it goes back in time to her birth, and like really tells the story of her and her father, and like how close they were in her upbringing, and then her time at the academy, and it introduces some characters. It's really just sort of like, it felt like a filler issue,
but a background issue for her.
But it was fine. I was like, okay, this is fun, because she's a very interesting character, and they did justice to her character, and you feel like, okay,
she is a fully fleshed out character.
Yeah, you feel, okay, this is cool, this is great. So
I hope we get to see her again. I was talking with Billy earlier about how like we don't get to see the Doctor, who would be Kirk's baby mama from Beyond. I mean, not Beyond, from Into Darkness. We don't see her again.
Right.
And I told him I really hope Star Trek 4 or 5 she shows up with her son. Like, that's what I want. And we also said, wouldn't it be great if the one who got her knocked up this time was actually Bones instead?
Oh, that would be interesting.
I would love that. I would love that. Oh, excuse me.
So that was a standalone issue. Then we go to because of the Borg threat, there is they decide to do a diplomatic conference on Babel, which is a touch from the original series when they had the episode Journey to Babel, and we actually meet Spock's father for the first time, Ambassador Sarek, which nobody knew that Spock's father was the ambassador, because Spock kind of keeps his personal life close to the vest. We also didn't find out that he had a half brother until Star Trek V,
or a human mom.
Or human mom.
She's also in that episode. with his father, is she not?
Yes, Journey to Babel. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so a lot of people are up in arms about how can Michael Burnham be, in Discovery, how can she be Spock's adopted sister? And it's like, well, we didn't know he had a half brother until 30 years after, or 20 years after the TV shows and stuff. So it's fine. It's within canon. It's fine.
Vulcans do not discuss personal matters while on Starfleet too.
Exactly. So there's this diplomatic conference. The Romulan delegation is there, along with former Commander Talos, Kirk's former first officer. And the cadets are there also. And it's some weird... Is the way they fit the cadets into this story. And then the other thing that bothered me was that Chastain, who does the artwork for... He didn't do this cover, I don't think. But he does the interior pages for the first...
arc
5 issues, the Borg one, and I think he does the Jayla one also, and then it switches to a different artist for 1 issue or 2 issues, and then it goes to another artist for 1 or 2 issues.
I know your pain.
And then finally Chastain comes back. Chastain's artwork is really fits this. I really like it. It's art leaning towards realistic, photorealistic, but it's still artistic. There was one that just looked like, it looked like 60s. Like weird. It was. I didn't enjoy it. And then the one in between was okay, but it was a little too cartoonish for me.
Where it's like Chastain's was just like
Chastain's
Star
was.
Trek.
It just looks. It just looks nice. I wish I had. I wish I had. I have them in my bag, but I'm not gonna run over and grab them. So it's sort of weird because they just sort of like, I forget what it is, but Kirk's like, or somebody's like, oh, we're gonna bring these cadets with us to this mission because they won an award or something, like to this conference. And it's like, all right, fine. So they get there, and then what happens is the Romulan ambassador is poisoned and killed.
Oh, that's interesting, because normally they're the scumbags, so,
Well,
they're still the scumbags.
Hang on. So then the son, one of the cadets, who just happens to be the son of the Andorian delegation, who the father doesn't approve that he's in Starfleet and blah, blah. And it's like this very cliche, like, you should have stayed on Andor and you're wasting your life being in Starfleet and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, all right, we've seen this 100 times. I don't know why we're doing it again.
You know what's so hurtful to me about the Romulans?
What's that?
I only liked one Romulan ever.
Really?
And it's the Romulan that Bashir freaking threw to the wolves.
Oh, in that Section 31
Because
episode? What about Datan from
wasn't
Unification?
around. I would have loved him. I liked the episode. But guess what? Wasn't around for me to fall in love with him. That doctor, however, she's on several episodes of Deep Space Nine until we're in too deep, pun intended. And then it's bad. It's so upsetting.
So Datan from that episode, Unification, he, in Star Trek Online, he becomes the minister of the new Romulan Republic.
That's cool. I wish it was a TV show
actually
did something about it.
So anyway, so the son of the Romulan of the Andorian delegation is accused of the murder. All right. So now it becomes this whole thing. So Jayla, having that invisible technology, the cloaking technology or that put up the fake wall or whatever, she hides him until they can figure out what to do. They're trying to get off the planet, but everything's been secured. They can't leave. And Spock and Uhura are there, and Sarek is there. So everybody's back there, right? And Kirk is there, right? Because Kirk is trying to get his former first officer. He's like, what do you, I'll get you out of there. And she's like, no, it's fine. I don't want to, I want to stay. And I think she was approached by the Tal Shiar. So I think she becomes a special agent.
Ooh,
there's some weird stuff.
A lot of them either.
Yeah. So, and then halfway through the book, they're investigating. Oh, and Kirk goes, that's right. A shuttle escapes. And so Kirk and Sulu get in the Endeavor and they chase after it because they think it has something to do. They're assuming it's the murderer. So they go investigate in this asteroid field, and there's these weird guys in these spacesuits, and they're fighting them in this asteroid. And then finally they find this Tellarite, the Tellarite ambassador, and he's in the shuttle. Well, you don't know it's him. Sorry, that's a bit of a spoiler before you know this. But so then Spock says, Uhura says, wait a minute, who would benefit the most from the Romulan ambassador dying? And Spock says, well, the Romulans. because now they've caused everybody to feel sorry for them, and their position will be heard more than everyone else's, and et cetera, et cetera. So it becomes obvious that the Romulans, killed their own ambassador.
Or at least a group of Romulans.
So, and so you're assuming because they foreshadowed Talos and the Tal Shiar that maybe she had something to do with it. So meanwhile, the cadets are trying to figure out how to clear this guy's name. So they get Bones. They ask Bones, "Can you take us to the ambassador's dead body?" And our Vulcan cadet friend here is going to try to mind meld with the dead body. And Bones says, "Are you crazy? I could get thrown out of Starfleet. We could get in so much trouble. Of course I'm in."
Yeah.
So he just takes her. They go. He gives the guy Russian whiskey from Chekhov,
of course,
the morgue guy, and then he's like, "Thanks. It's so hard to get this stuff on Babel." So he leaves. They give him 10 minutes with the dead body. She mind melds. She sees all this stuff, including the fact that one of the other delegates from Romulus is the guy's daughter, and nobody knows that, and how he taught her to skip rocks like his father did. And then she sees the last beverage that the ambassador drank and who gave it to him. And she goes, "The mind meld's over, but we have a new suspect." So then they go back and they tell the Romulus delegation that the guy was murdered and that it wasn't the Andorian. And she's like, "I don't believe it. You can't mind meld with a dead body." And then she tells her about how the ambassador was her father and taught her to skip rocks. And she's like, "Nobody knows that." And she's like, "Well, I mind melded with your dad." Ooh. And so then Kirk brings down the Tellarite that they find in the thing, and it turns out that the Tellarite poisoned him because
and nothing to do with Talos.
Right. He thinks, and that was a little bit of a twist.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And the Tellarite was like, we need to secure the Federation, and being in a partnership with the Romulans is bad, and this stuff. And I kind of was a little like,
well, it's nice.
That's not very Star Trek-y, but I liked the plot twist.
And I like that it's not the freaking Romulans again, because it's always wrong. So all the Trek stuff I watched over the weekend, it was just
all duplicitous Romulans.
Oh my, they were all horrible. It's like, "Oh, we found your distress message. We're totally here to help. We left our phasers on our ship, Oh, we were working on a super secret phasing cloaking device. It's like, make sure that they die when they leave after they're done helping us and giving us all this cool stuff." Scum of the earth. And then I'm watching Deep Space Nine, and I'm like, I like this doctor. She's so cool. I'm like, I like the chemistry with her and Bashir. This is great. This is really going somewhere. I like this character. I hope they use her more.
And not to mention,
sold her out and got her in prison. I'm like, oh!
And not to mention my favorite episode of Deep Space Nine, in the Pale Moonlight, where they literally assassinate a Romulan senator to bring the Romulans into the war. It's not good.
Now, again, those are the only two times I actually felt bad for the Romulans. Every other time, I'm like, look at you and your Tasha Yar daughter running around, ruining everything, and she nasty. Your mother died ashamed of you. Like, I'm so horrible.
So yeah, I'm actually gonna skip. The Green Lantern Star Trek crossover because I only have 2 issues left.
Oh, you can
I'll just read those and then I'll wrap up the whole arc.
Did you read Captain Phasma number 2?
I did read Captain Phasma number 2. I was gonna skip that too, but we can talk about it because we both read it.
Boo or woo?
So first off, the Star Trek issues. The first 5. So the first 5 were a woo. I thought it was very good writing, very engaging. I loved the Borg stuff. It didn't feel like a gimmick. It sort of felt natural, and because of this timeline being a little bit more technically advanced at this time, it felt like a good fit. And there's one part where Spock rips the Borg implant out of his head.
Ooh.
And it's just he's like "You're not gonna assimilate me. It's futile," or something like that. He has a great line, and so it really felt fun. The single issue about J-Lo, I don't really like that kind of stuff. I'd rather the story be more fluid, and I wish they would have fit that in a little bit better. But
just not out of nowhere.
But the content about her was really good. And I felt like they really captured the character well.
So great as a standalone, but bad for the flow of
it's just this
story arc.
Yeah, and then and also the thing I noticed was that Mark Johnson, I think, wrote the first few issues. He has a co-writer starting at the issues where I started to have a little bit of problems. But I'm very interested to know about this Commander Talus stuff. I like this dynamic that Kirk feels bad that she had to sacrifice herself, because that's Kirk. Like, I'm a little surprised that he allowed that to happen to begin with, because Kirk's the kind of guy that would refuse to do that. And I think if she wasn't so persistent, and they have a nice exchange towards the end of this the investigation where she says, "I'm really happy where I am. I want to stay." And he's like, "I don't understand. Like, I don't believe that." And she's like, "Well, I'm surprised that out of all the people who have explored all of this stuff, that you would be surprised by the unexpected." And I was like, that's an interesting line. I don't really know what it means, but I kind of get it. And once Shastine came back with the artwork, it's been great. Oh, and then I totally forgot. So then
it's amazing how much art impacts storytelling.
Yeah, so then the next issue. So I totally forgot about this issue because it had nothing to do with anything. Is Spock and Uhura back on New Romulus, and Sarek says something.
New Romulus?
I'm sorry, New
Vulcan.
New Vulcan. Spock says something, or Sarek says something.
Are they like? I wonder if they're going at it like bunnies, because there's only 10,000 of them left. So they're like, we have to repopulate.
Hang on. So there's an interesting thing here. So it starts off with Sarek serving pluming soup, Amanda's recipe. So it's kind of a sweet thing, and he says something pretty benign, but Uhura's like, wow, he's being pretty heavy-handed. And Spock's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, he wants us to get married. And he's like, really? And so there's this whole thing about them like getting married and stuff. Meanwhile, she goes and teaches at the Vulcan Science Academy. She teaches Earth history and Earth culture. And Spock goes to the Southern Pole because another Vulcan scientist has discovered some kind of isotope or something under the surface that can be exploited for energy and power. Mm-hmm. And then Uhura starts getting these visions of her parents.
Ooh.
And they're telling her, and she sees this like big metal structure, and they're warning her about something. At first they talk to her like she's a child, and they say, we're just trying to help you. We don't want you to get hurt. And they're warning her about something, and she doesn't know what's going on. And then she's on a video call with Spock, and she looks behind him, and there's that huge structure that she saw in her vision is behind him, and it's the drill that they're about to drill for a sample in. And she goes, "You need to." No, she actually doesn't say anything. So she ends the call, and then she hops in a shuttle and flies to where they are, and then gets out and tells them to stop. Which I thought was weird. Why didn't she just tell him to stop on the call?
Spock, I had crazy dreams about that drill. Stop what you're doing.
But instead she's like hangs up, and then the next thing you see is Spock's about to start drilling, and then a shuttle lands, and she's like, "Don't do it!" And it's like, well, if it was that urgent, why did you have to fly here? So I was a little bit upset about that. But then,
Uhura's not one with a flair for the dramatic.
Yeah,
except in her wardrobe, maybe.
Yeah, I was like, what? So then it turns out that
wasn't she the first one in the first movie to yell at everyone about, I heard these signals and none of you are paying attention to me?
Yeah. So she gets him to stop, and then all of a sudden these opaque, translucent blue aliens appear, and they're like, and she's like, and they're like, what's going on? And the Vulcans are like shocked, and she's like, oh, so you're the ones who have been communicating with me. And it turned out that that the blue aliens were an after image of the previous inhabitants of this world.
Planet. Okay, so ghost.
And they only communicate through emotions. And the Vulcans couldn't sense their message,
because they
were warning
so
them about this material that it used to power their civilization, and then it ended up destroying them. So they were trying to communicate through emotion, and the Vulcans couldn't sense it. And so she being the first human, I guess, on the planet, could hear and understand the message. So that was the whole story.
No Vulcan children. Very interesting.
Well, so here's the thing. So at some point she's talking to this woman at the Vulcan
clearly
Science
Vulcan
Academy.
children, the jerks that they were emotional.
So, and something we're going to see in Discovery is we're going to see flashbacks of Michael Burnham as a child going through the Vulcan education system. So that's going to be interesting. But so in the middle of this movie, there's this whole marriage thing, right? And she talks to this Vulcan woman, and the woman's like, says something about, her and Spock getting married. And she's like, how do you know about that? And she's like, oh, well, our communication is efficient. Basically, their gossip is efficient, And so she said, yeah, we're thinking about it. And then the Vulcan woman says, it's interesting that that Sarek would be in such support of his son marrying, with so few Vulcans, would be in support of his son marrying a non-Vulcan. Yeah. And that was an interesting thing. And so...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think in the context of... we're Vulcans and we suppress our emotions. Your son should breed with a Vulcan woman because of our race. It's only logical. Versus, we're not saying it because we're a bunch of cruddy racists. We're saying it because we're trying to preserve our species.
Right. And I found it refreshing that Sarek's point of view was just he wanted his son to be
happy.
Well, to an extent, he wanted he wanted them because he saw that they care for each other. And
come on, we know darn well the truth about Sarek. Yeah. We know the truth. He wants his son to be happy. He just can't express it as a human. He expresses it as a Vulcan, and it's brilliant because Uhura can pick up on it because she is a very emotional being.
So then Sarek gets even more heavy-handed with the comments about marriage, and then at the end Spock and Uhura talk and decide that that's not the best. While they do care for each other and they would like to get married at some point, it's not the best idea to do that now, and they both agreed to that. So that was sort of the end of that. So this seemed like another filler.
But it sounds good.
It was very good. I enjoyed it.
I mean, let's be honest. The only when we delve into the relationships in movies, it's only a few minutes on screen, and we get a few jokes out of it.
And novels really flesh it out.
And
so it's a big woo. It's a big woo for this series. It's been a little rough at times, like I said, with the artwork and the filler issues, but it's been pretty good. So let's talk about Phasma. Number 2, really quick. This came out today. Phasma number 2 came out today. This picks up on the. I don't have a good picture for issue 2, but I'll just throw. Where'd it go? I'll throw this up there. This is issue number 1, but issue number 2 came out. So she's chasing the guy that she's basically blamed for the shields coming down on Starkiller Base. And I'm reading, the dialogue is just sort of like, there's no meaning behind it. There's no substance to it.
I told you I almost got into a Facebook fight over this today.
So the first glaring thing that irritated me is when her co-pilot says that the guy that they're chasing, that his hyperdrive has been disabled, has been deactivated. Billy, does a TIE fighter have a hyperdrive?
Only certain models.
Right. Only certain models. This is not one of those models. This is a regular TIE fighter, twin ion engine, and it does not have a hyperdrive. That's why in episode 4, when the Millennium Falcon comes into the Alderaan system, and then a TIE fighter comes around, he says, how is he so far away from something that can carry him? They're like, he can't be out this far without there being a base or a ship nearby, but they don't know where it is. And then they come upon the Death Star. Because TIE fighters don't have hyperdrives. That's why they're more maneuverable and faster than X-Wings.
And again, only certain models.
Oh!
Probably one Vader would use.
Oh!
Right?
Well, probably maybe the TIE bombers might have them, or the TIE aggressors or the TIE interceptors or something like that. But the TIE fighters, the regular TIE fighters that we all know and love from the original trilogy, and this is a First Order TIE fighter. It has never, like, that's the thing about it, is that it's light and maneuverable because it does not have a hyperdrive.
I already have issues with movies, with current movie stories as it is. Like Poe Dameron, at least we got into a bit of his childhood in his. Mm-hmm. But overall, like I tried to like it, and I was like, ah. But Luke and Leia, their stories, awesome. The angle that just came out today, that's another one I can recommend. The Star Wars angle, Han and Leia, awesome. Wait till you read it. You're going to be like, you're absolutely right, Cliff. Like, it's just, we have such good stories, but the good stories seem to be contained to what we already know.
Well, the thing is
and where we've already been.
I think they're trying to. So they go to this planet, and then first off, the First Order deems this planet unsuitable or something, and then there turns out to be a village there, and it's like, okay, and then it turns out that the planet wasn't always unsuitable, and then there's these monster things, and they're trying. I don't know. The story is meaningless. The entire plot of this comic book so far is so that Phasma can cover her tracks because she dropped the shields on Starkiller Base. And I'm just like floored that they're turning an entire, what is this, 4 issues? Mm-hmm. 6 issues, 4 issues?
A whole story arc.
A whole story arc based on her trying to lie. Which fills in nothing. And she says some random thing about, like, oh, I know this kind of planet all too well. And then when she takes off her helmet to change clothes into, like, more, like, so they don't see First Order troopers, mm-hmm. You don't see her at all. Like, you don't see her face or anything. They hide it. And it's like, okay, so she doesn't like to be seen? Like, I don't know. It feels like they're trying to create this mystique. It feels like what they're trying to do is replicate the mystery and excitement of Boba Fett from the original trilogy.
In the meantime,
in a forced way.
In the meantime, I feel like they're full of restraints because they have no idea what the movies are going to do with this character, and they're working around the fact that they're terrified that they can't do anything about it.
But the thing is that a Phasma novel just came out. You're telling me they couldn't tie into that somehow?
I don't know, but you know what? I'm not going to bother with the Phasma novel. I feel the same way about that as I do about this. Yep. I'm willing to bet whoever reads the Phasma novel is going to be like, what a great Star Wars novel around this empty shell of a character called Captain Phasma.
And I feel, I hope they do her justice in The Last Jedi, because I feel like...
Right, maybe we'll get a good story.
Gwendolyn Christie is such
an amazing
actress. Talented actress.
Right, who was thrown away in the first movie.
It's like, fine, you want to set her up, but even then, like, I don't know. We as fans want this character to be larger than life.
And cool.
Fleshed out even just enough as the same as the other characters, and we're not getting it, and it's slightly
in the meantime, we had very fleshed out villains.
Yes.
In Rogue One.
Yeah.
You knew what I was gonna say, didn't you?
No.
Because you said yep before I even said Rogue One, but I feel like you knew.
Well, the villains in Rogue One are fleshed out.
They're great. Yeah. That movie was able to do it in one shot, you know, despite what a lot of people may feel about it.
All right, so it's a woo from both of us?
Not
woo.
A boo for both of us.
A boo from both of us on Captain Phasma.
Yeah. Woo for all the other Star Wars stuff that's super cool.
And Martin just joined us in the chat. How you doing, Martin?
Hey, Martin.
And we're going to move to What Did We Watch? And we're going to bring in our special guest. Well, first off, let's just talk about Discovery. Actually, Billy, come on in. Go ahead and bring your chair. Sit right on this black line here. This is our good friend Billy Alescu, HeroClix player, and oh wow, you're like, hang on, switch with me. Come over here. You're too tall, man.
Oh, sorry about that.
We are 3 large, powerful beings on one camera.
So Billy is HeroClix player and board gamer, and big Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who,
Sci-fi.
sci-fi in general fan. He knows a lot about a lot of stuff, more than I do about a lot of stuff. I think I know a little bit more about Star Trek than him, but we'll find out here in a minute.
Oh, we will.
And let's talk a little bit about Star Trek Discovery. Billy? Are you excited for it?
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Have you seen all the trailers or some of the trailers?
I've actually been trying to avoid them so it's not spoiled.
It's not a bad thing. Cliff will certainly tell you that the first trailer that came out, I was very disappointed in.
And I was like, I want to see this.
Yeah, I was very disappointed in it.
I'm sure by now you're like, wow.
But as the trailers have come out, as I've seen panels from Comic-Cons, heard the actors talk about their experiences on it, and we just listened to before the show. One of the reasons we were late is we stopped and listened to the main title theme for the show, which is the moment I got super jacked about this show. The old, the new mixed together in a melodic symphony of geekiness, and I'm super excited about it. So,
They definitely nailed that theme.
Oh yeah, the theme is incredible. What are you hoping to see in this show?
I'd actually like to see a little bit more backstories about the characters developing rather than just showing us the characters and going.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to get. They talk a lot about character journeys on this show.
I feel like
the characters grow and change.
I feel like we're going to get this hodgepodge between being on the Enterprise, but with the character development of being on Deep Space Nine.
I hope so, and I think they're even going to take it further, because this is the first Star Trek that's going to be full on serialized from the beginning. So it's going to be one big story arc. They went from, I think, 13 episodes is what was planned, and now they've ended up doing 15 episodes, which I think is perfect. I think that's a great number of episodes to do for a season, and it really can tell a nice, tight, and concise story over those episodes. And we're gonna see a lot about the Klingons in this too, and how they're not just gonna be the antagonists. They're gonna be a separate culture that we're gonna follow and learn about and take the journey along with. So I think we're gonna find some really interesting and dynamic concepts. And they're promising it's gonna be topical and very Star Trek. So I'm excited about that. So
I'd also like to see them reuse things they talk about in first, second, third episode later down the road, rather than just like, okay, we covered it and we're gone.
Yeah. And I think we're gonna get that too. So. So all right.
So again, when I was watching Star Trek, there's the episode where Riker and several people on the Enterprise cannot sleep.
Oh yeah.
And Data reads poetry, and it's all they can do to keep themselves from passing out, at the poetry reading. The episode in A Fistful of Data. Fistful of Datas?
Yep.
Fistful of Datas, right? Dr. Crusher is directing a play, and everyone goes to read their script, and it's Data's poetry. And it's literally the same poem about Spot from that previous episode.
Oh, right, because Data, something happens with Data's
Data's
stuff
connected
gets into he's
computer.
connected to the computer. They're trying to connect him to the computer, and some of him ends up into the computer, and some of the computer holodeck program ends up into him.
Yes.
So.
And hilarious.
Yeah.
But the callback to his I never remember the Next Generation having good callbacks to other episodes. Every so often I would get upset, when they reintroduced the crystalline entity with the doctor who was studying it, right?
Yeah.
Lore communicated with it in his episode through subspace, and that was it. And they're like, oh, we got to figure out a way to communicate with the creature. It could be so interesting, blah blah blah. Figure out what Lore did. You have Data. I don't understand. And I was like, okay, fine. I was like, that was the weakest part of that episode. Everything else was so good, and that fell apart. Anyhow, I don't know. All of a sudden, I'm all hopped up on Star Trek.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited. I've been watching an episode here or there. I watched Gambit Part 1 and Part 2, where that one that I talked about, I watched that the other night, and last night I watched The Inner Light. The one
you're like, no, it's so good.
It's one of the most.
It's amazing.
Patrick Stewart should have won an Emmy for that.
No, he should have. They should have submitted it
for
for
an amazing episode.
Oh, you know what? Because it was
I hated it as a child.
It was a syndicated series.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't get a freaking Emmy.
Yeah. Well. Guess what? No.
I know it's boring when you watch it as a kid. But yeah, it's an amazing, amazing episode.
All right, so let's jump into this trivia contest. So here's how this is going to go. Cliff is going to ask us 10 questions from random categories and from random episodes, TVs, movies. Again, this covers the 5 television shows and the 10 TOS and TNG movies. He's going to ask us 10 questions. Billy and I, he's going to ask both of us the same question. Billy and I are going to write our answers down. We get 1 point for each correct answer that we give, okay? And then round 2, we're going to each be asked a separate question, and the questions are worth 2 points, and if the person gets it wrong or fails to answer, the other person can steal it for the 2 points. Then in the third round, we are going to each roll the die to get 3 different categories, and then Cliff is going to randomly pull cards out of the box to ask us 3 questions. The first question is worth 2 points, the second question is worth 3 points, and the last question is worth 5 points. Now, there can be a technical knockout in the last round so what we'll do is we'll go back and forth depending on what the score is. Whoever has the lower score will answer their next question. So on and so forth. I'll explain that. All right. So
Adam, you good back there?
Adam's gonna keep score.
And remember, 30-second timers.
In round 2, it's a 30-second timer, and in round 3, probably it's a 30-second timer. All right.
We should do it in round 1 too.
Well, but it's sure we can do it.
Yeah,
in
because
round.
this way, if you don't think of it,
Yeah, that's true. All right. So 30-second timer.
All right. Here we go. I got the die. I got my little card telling me what the die means.
Here, let's do this. Let's get you in between the two of us. So, because I don't want to sit. I don't want Billy cheating off my paper. I should have got another camera for this.
For real. That's okay. We do what we can. We do.
Yeah, here we go. All right.
We should have gotten me a little table.
Oh yeah, I could have done that. We have them
we got the
upstairs.
stool over there.
Oh, we do have the stool. Do you need a table?
No, well, no, it's not going to work. All right. Question 1 is about locations.
Locations. All right. And what's it from? What show?
This is from Star Trek: The Original Series.
Okay, my weakest category, Billy's strongest, so this should be fun.
What planet did the Gorgon want to use the Enterprise to reach?
I know that's not right.
You timing at him? Yeah. All right.
I don't have anything, so.
All right.
I said Earth. I guessed.
No.
No. What was it?
The planet was Marcos 7.
I don't even know what episode that's from.
Neither do I.
Gorgons? I don't even remember the Gorgons.
You don't know what the Gorgon is?
No. Do you know what the Gorgons are?
Next question is
in the category of science and technology.
Science and Technology
And
from
it's from
Star Trek Voyager.
Star Trek Voyager.
How,
Not a great category for me either.
How did Voyager destroy the Caretaker's array?
Ooh. This could be a trick question.
I don't think I'm right, but I got something.
All right, present, gentlemen.
I said photon torpedoes.
I put feedback pulse.
What was it?
Trickle-bolt devices.
Oh, a tricobalt devices. Yeah, that makes sense. Wow, this is impressive, huh?
These are
I'm not
toughies.
losing.
But no one's winning.
neither.
That is
Aliens.
Aliens.
In the category of aliens.
Category
from
of aliens from Star Trek V,
The Final
The
Frontier.
Final Frontier.
Underrated. I enjoy that movie.
No.
What does God need with a starship?
No, a movie that was produced by Bill Shatner, starring Bill Shatner.
No, he directed it.
And directed by Bill Shatner.
He didn't produce it. He directed it. It's produced by Harv Bennett, I think.
Well, you know what? That
But
poor man.
did you
that poor
give
man.
it
should-
a
that man
fighting
needs
chance?
to scrap his name from the.
The
project.
best part is when the admiral calls him up and he's like, we gotta send the Enterprise. It's, we gotta send the Enterprise with Kirk, and he's like, oh please. All right.
Not one strong.
So aliens from Star Trek V.
Oh, I love this Star Trek V. Okay, my favorite kind of alien. Who was the Romulan? Who was the Romulan ambassador kidnapped by Cybok?
I thought this was aliens, not names.
It counts.
Yeah, there's a whole category for crew members.
But she's not a crew member, or he, or whatever that name is.
It's she. It's a she.
Okay.
I remember the other two. It's John Talbot and Commander Cord, or our General Cord, whose teachings were.
Time
I got
up,
nothing.
boys.
I got nothing.
What do we got?
Nothing.
Kathleen Dar.
Wow, I don't think
I
I've
don't-
ever heard that name.
I
I've seen
don't
that movie like
recognize it.
17 times, and I never.
17 times he
17
watched that
times.
trash, and he can't remember that. It's too bad.
I don't recognize it at all.
These are tough questions.
Yeah, they are.
All right.
Aliens again.
Aliens again.
And this time from everybody's favorite original series Trek movie, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Khan!
How did Khan's wife die?
Oh shit.
Ooh, beep him.
Oh. Whoa. Wow. Okay.
I'm sorry.
What were
what's
they
that mean?
called?
Stealing is wrong. Don't steal points. Oh my god. Oh, okay.
Sorry, Henry. I'm stealing the points.
I thought Henry was mad at me because I stole I stole one of his comic book pictures from this morning.
Oh. Is that Henry from Midtown?
Yes.
I watched your video today about the new comics. It was awesome. All right. Ready? Reveal?
Yeah.
Seti Eel.
Ooh.
I put the ear slugs.
Ooh. You're correct, sir.
I couldn't
Finally,
remember the
there's
name.
a point.
I'm on the board first. This is Seti Alpha 5.
Roll
Is
it
that only
again.
4 questions?
Yep.
Oh,
It's
wow.
painful, isn't it?
It's not that.
Aliens.
Aliens again?
Should I roll it again?
No, it's fine. That's why we have different cards for
This
each.
time from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. What?
Or as I like to call it, a 2001: A Space Odyssey, the sequel. It's slow and just ugh.
2010, I think, was better than that. What oath did Deltans take when serving in Starfleet?
The spelling count.
No, as long as we know what we're saying.
Good.
You're both ready?
Yep.
Reveal.
Oath of celibacy.
Celibacy.
You are both correct. It is celibacy. And we all saw how that worked out at the end of the film.
She gets turned into an android halfway through.
I stand by the fact that she is the mother of the Borg. She's the first queen, and I'm going to live with that.
Oh no! Well, so the theory is that V'ger met the Borg, and that's what V'ger became.
Yeah, well, I love
Again,
that.
I hate to reference Star Trek Online. It's a great game, by the way. But there are V'ger-like Borg ships that you have to attack. It's very cool.
It's awesome. Ooh.
Locations.
Locations. What Federation Observatory?
Oh, what's it from?
Oh, this is from Star Trek Generations, the movie.
Oh, I already know what the answer is.
What Federation Observatory was attacked by the Romulans? Again, the Romulans. Did I not mention that they're just the biggest scumbags? I'm not wrong, am I?
They're just they're
I'm failing as a guest star.
How are you? Did you write celibacy again?
No, this is the same sheet. This is the same sheet.
The Celibacy Observatory.
I have nothing. I could draw it for you.
Correct. Actually, you're missing an R.
Amargosa. Really?
Amargosa.
Amargosa. Well,
But it's so close. You may have it.
I'd give him
one
the
letter
point.
off. One letter off.
All right. Question 8 for round 1. Ooh, starships.
Starships.
This one's from Star Trek Nemesis, a beloved classic Star Trek film. Hey, what's his name is awesome though. I love him.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy is great.
Tom Hardy's amazing in that movie. Unfortunately, it drove
Everything
him,
else not.
It drove him to drugs, crime, and prison. But
look what kind of actor we got after
know.
all that.
I know.
Okay, Star Trek Nemesis, starships. What class of attack fighters were carried on board Shinzon's ship?
Think I got it.
Reveal.
Saber.
Scorpions.
Scorpions, yup.
Scorpions.
I was stuck on Scimitar being the name.
Calling us one at a time. Yeah, Scimitar's the name. So.
One at a time in round 2?
No. When to reveal, so we're not
Okay.
overstepping each other.
So we got, how many more left in this round? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 3 more?
I could tie it
Oh,
up.
God. Ooh.
Crew members.
Crew members.
In the category of crew members,
This is from Star Trek Insurrection, another beloved gem Next Generation film.
I do enjoy that movie, but I'm sad they cut out the Quark cameo at the end.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
He ends up like down there selling like timeshares.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
Yep.
Would have been perfect. So Star Trek Insurrection. I like one of these. Okay. And the category is crew members. What Academy Award-winning actor played Ruafo in Insurrection? Academy Award-winning actor. Ruafo. Academy Award winner.
Academy Award winning. Do I get bonus points if I can tell you what movie
No.
he won the Academy Award from?
Oh my! You know what? I'll give you 1 bonus point if you can tell me what movie he won
Okay.
and the role he played.
Oh. You're not playing, Adam.
All right, good fun time. We are. All right, Billy. Nothing.
Nothing.
All right,
F. Murray Abraham.
correct. And for bonus point,
He won it for Amadeus.
do you remember the role?
No.
So yes, yes.
Adam gets a bonus point.
Adam gets a
Adam
point.
gets a bonus point.
And again, and 1 more point for Tony. God, there's 2 more to go.
In this round.
Crew members. This is from Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home.
Ooh.
An
Best
80s
line-
classic film.
Best line in all of science fiction when Gillian Taylor asks Kirk, let me guess, you're from outer space? And he says, no, I'm from Iowa. I only work in outer space.
I'm going to choose a new question.
Are you serious?
Yep.
It was what state is Captain Kirk from?
Yep. We're going to just dismiss that. This is now from Star Trek Generations. Who played the Allurian scientist Soren? And really,
He's Alexander Siddig's uncle. Who played Dr. Bashir.
shame for those who cannot say his name, because he is awesome.
Oh.
Oh my god, I'm so freaking angry right now. Okay,
Why are you angry?
because I saw something that made me angry.
He saw my answer.
Yep.
And it's wrong.
Are we ready?
Apparently.
Billy, reveal first.
I put Roddy McDowell.
You're so wrong. It's not even the right franchise.
Wait, what's his first name?
Roddy McDowell.
Roddy McDowell?
This isn't Planet of the Apes. Get out.
Malcolm McDowell.
Yes.
Who
Yes!
is Alexander Siddig's uncle? Who
Wonderful.
played Dr. Bashir on Deep Space Nine.
Excellent. Excellent. 1 more, right?
I think so.
For
Right?
this round.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, one more. It's okay, Billy. We're gonna have 2 pointers in the next round.
Crew members again. This is from Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country.
What's the subtitle from? Oh, you never mind. You asked the question.
Why don't you tell me for a bonus question? What's the subtitle?
It's from Hamlet. It's Death, the Undiscovered Country. It's from his soliloquy. Anyway,
Very good.
Keep going.
Very
Sorry.
good. Crew members again.
Crew members. Oh, right.
Undiscovered Country.
Not subtitles.
Which Star Trek The Next Generation actor portrayed his ancestor in The Undiscovered Country? Even I know this.
I know who it is, and I'm...
Can you name
Really?
Got it.
Who? I don't know this person. I don't know this person sitting next to me right now. Who are you?
Got it.
You knew he played in TNG, right?
Oh, yeah. I got the name.
He actually plays the same named character in this movie.
I love it. I'm down. Are we good? Are we good? All right. Billy, reveal first.
Michael Dorn.
Correct.
Michael Dorn.
Michael.
I just couldn't remember
Are you
the
getting
actor's
negative points?
name. Apparently.
No, I'm getting no.
Oh, it's the okay.
Adam's like waiting to change it, but it also
okay.
it actually changes it on that.
1 for Billy, and that's 10 questions from round 1.
All right, so that's round 1. So in round 2, starting with Billy.
Points are
So ask all 5 questions to Billy first, and then ask all 5 questions to me. If for whatever reason one of us doesn't know the answer or gets it wrong, the other person can steal it for the 2 points.
Okay. Category 1, round 2. Federations. Oh, Starfleet. Starfleet.
Finally, a new category.
Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home.
So this is for Billy. These first 5 are for Billy.
What piece of Starfleet equipment did Chekhov leave on the nuclear vessel?
Nuclear vessel.
I know.
Communicator.
Ooh, incorrect, sir.
Phaser.
Correct, Tony. Well, another point for Tony.
He
2
throws
points.
it at the guy.
Oh, 2 points
2
for
points.
Tony.
2 points.
Question 2. Crew members. Star Trek Voyager. What was... Oh my god, this is so easy. What was the holographic doctor's name?
The Doctor.
Unbelievable.
It's not that easy.
I know. He never formally took one, although in an alternate timeline, he did choose Joe.
Oh, that's
2
right.
points for Billy.
When they come back to Earth at the end.
Ooh.
Science and technology.
Science and technology. For 2 points, Billy. Star Trek The Next Generation. What small maintenance robots at the Particle Fountain Project...
Exocomp.
Ooh, is he right? Yes, he is. 2 points for Billy. 2 points. All right, that is locations. Star Trek Insurrection. When was the Baku settlement founded? What year?
$21.50.
Incorrect. Tony.
Oh, jeez. 2258.
In 2066. It's around the corner for us, folks.
2066.
Around the corner.
Do they say that?
Yes, they do.
Did they say it in the movie?
On the bridge.
Wow.
Before they go down.
Wow.
All right. Question 5 for 2 points. Aliens. Star Trek Nemesis. I swear, this is another Romulan question. Shinzon led 12 successful campaigns against which forces?
That would be the Dominion forces.
Correct. Very good. 2 points for Billy.
Look at that. He's within 1 point.
Yeah, catching up. All right, so that ends round 2, I believe,
No,
gentlemen?
and then 5 now.
Oh,
5
5 for
questions
you.
to me. Yeah.
Yeah,
5
okay.
questions.
Where I have a chance to steal from him.
Right.
Crew members, Star Trek Generations. Which Klingon sisters from the Next Generation?
Duras sisters.
You got it. Hey, can you name them?
Lursa and Bator.
Yep.
You got it. I hate them so much too. By the way, from watching all this Star Trek over the weekend, most fleshed out Star Trek universe character ever, Lieutenant freaking Worf. Who would have thought that that's the character who's going to get the most backstory, side story, avenge my father, meet my child, learn to love the woman I couldn't stand on board the Enterprise for 3 years, and have her help me raise my kid. All of that.
And then he gets 3 more years.
I know, because then then he gets married.
No, he gets 4 more years.
Yeah, then he gets married, then she dies, but her freaking alien life form goes into another woman's body who don't want him. Then he fights through the Dominion War and all sorts of other stuff, and then it's like, oh, I'm gonna go be an ambassador, just like it was foreshadowed at the end of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
And he's in Star Trek Online as the Federation ambassador to Kronos. And,
most fleshed out character ever.
You have to go and fight in a Batleth tournament with him
Sounds
for the House
awesome.
of Martok. It
sounds amazing.
It's
cool.
It's so good.
Did they ever cover what happened to Alexander?
Oh yeah, well he calls himself Kimtar, like he did in that episode where he comes back in time.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, one of the latest episodes is you and Kimtar are trying to convince Worf that you need his help to go break Martok out of a prison. And Worf is like, Martok's dead, he's not alive, we can't do that. So you and Kimtar go and break Martok out of prison yourselves. Because Worf is being stubborn.
All right, that brings us to what, question 2?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's Billy's pile. Okay.
Starfleet. Star Trek: Deep Space Nine.
This is my jam.
What episode celebrated the 30th anniversary of Star Trek by having the Deep Space Nine crew
Trials
visit?
and Tribulations.
I didn't even need to flip the card. You are right, sir. Give him his 2
Trials and
points.
Tribulations. One of my favorite episodes ever.
Starfleet again. This is from Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. What classic Dickens novel does Spock give Kirk for his birthday?
Tale of Two Cities.
Tale of Two Cities.
Surely the best of times, Kevin.
Absolutely. Hey, what did
Call me
McCoy?
Shirley.
What did McCoy give him for his birthday in Star Trek II?
He gave him reading glasses because Kirk is allergic to Retinox 5.
Very good. And then
He sells them for $100 cash in
what
San
movie?
Francisco in Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home.
and then says to Spock,
Spock says, "Are you sure, Captain? Those were a gift from Dr. McCoy." And he says, "Well, that's the beauty of it. They will be again."
okay. Interesting feedback we're getting. Oh, somebody likes Star Trek, yay. Okay. But yeah, I love that part of the Star Trek movies. I got a roll for you again. 4th question. Crew members, Star Trek First Contact. That's my jam.
I love that one too.
Before she spent a year on Desperate Housewives, Alfre Woodard played what character in First Contact?
Lily Sloan.
You are correct, sir. And she was she was the
was
best.
amazing.
Best ever. I was upstairs telling Billy how much I love Star Trek First Contact. That movie,
Come on, Picard, blow up that damn ship.
it's wonderful. Ahab has to have his whale. I never actually read it.
Don't lose, Tony. I'm doing good, but if I flunk my round 3 questions, I could be in bad shape.
And I have to get a steal.
Have you already done the math?
Aliens. Aliens from Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, which apparently you don't hate. No, it's.
Oh, I love.
There we go.
That's great.
And this is
Directed by
Aliens.
Nicholas
Except they
Meyer.
had pink blood.
Yeah, that was weird.
Who was Gorkon's daughter?
Azat Bor.
You are correct, sir. 2 more points, and that ends round 2.
That ends round 2.
Very good.
All right, so Billy and I will each roll the die and get 3 different categories. All right, I'll go first.
Locations.
The category is locations. This one is
Hang on, I'm gonna do all 3 now, and then he's gonna do all 3.
Ships.
Ships.
Crew
And
members.
crew.
And I've got locations.
Yeah, that die is a little heavy.
No, that's locations again. Ships. Is it going to be crew?
No, Starfleet. All right. So ask Billy his questions first.
Billy gets his questions first. All right, so Billy, first thing you rolled was locations.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
No, I can't catch up, Tony, if that's what you're trying to
Yeah,
count.
I'm trying to.
Locations, category, Star Trek, The Next Generation. Where did the De Bruin have an outpost in the 4th century?
Earth?
Incorrect, sir. Tony, can you steal this?
I won't get any points, but I would say I know the answer too. I don't remember.
Baradas 3.
Right, it's 3. Oh, that's from that episode I just watched too.
Okay. Next category is ships. And this is from Star Trek Voyager. What Galaxy-class ship does Geordi LaForge command in an alternate timeline?
And in Star Trek Online.
The Venture?
Incorrect, sir. It is the
the
USS Challenger.
And in Star Trek Online, the latest episode, Beyond the Nexus, you actually have to meet up with Captain LaForge on the Challenger and rescue a ship that just came out of the Nexus.
All right. Last one. Starfleet. Star Trek Enterprise. What year did the Battle of Andoria occur?
2158?
Survey says 2154.
Oh. I wouldn't have gotten that one either.
Well, Billy, you were a fine contestant. Okay.
Yeah, it was fun.
Let's go for the.
You want to
Do you
keep going?
win by default, or do you want to? Do you want to have the
I
test?
mean, I love answering. I
Test
love
it.
answering questions. So go for it.
All right. This is locations.
Yeah.
The original series.
Ugh.
Nurse Chapel's former fiance, Roger Corby, was found on which planet?
I don't know.
I know the episode. I don't know the name of the planet.
The planet was Exo 3. Ships.
Wow, I could lay some big eggs here.
Ships. The original series. Where?
Did you plan this?
No.
Just all original series questions for me?
No. Where was the USS Defiant trapped?
It was trapped in a Tholian web.
Interesting.
It was trapped. Yeah, wasn't it? Or it was phase shifting, trapped in subspace.
Oh,
Underspace?
you got it close with phase. A spatial interface between universes.
Okay. Well, I know where it ended up. It ended up in the mirror universe back in time because Captain Archer ended up stealing it.
Yep.
Or Commander Archer, I should say, from the mirror universe ended up stealing it.
Yep. And that was a two-parter in of itself.
Yep.
In a Mirror Darkly, Part 1 and Part 2. In fact, the only Mirror Universe episodes so far that don't have anybody crossing over from the Prime Universe.
All right, last one. Crew members, Star Trek, The Undiscovered Country. I can't believe it took this movie for this question. What is Sulu's first name?
Hikaru.
There you go.
That's for 5 points.
That was for 5 points. Right on.
Well, thank you very much, Billy.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. If we do Doctor Who trivia, you'll beat me in a landslide.
Call me for Babylon 5.
Oh, I won't call anybody for Babylon 5.
Well, how about
Ongoing fight between him and
yes.
us.
how about Battlestar Galactica?
I could do that,
I'll be
definitely.
able to do that sometime.
There we
so.
go. Down and dirty.
Well, thank you very much, Billy. That was a lot of fun. I love answering questions. So take care, sir. And
Have fun.
we will jump into our last segment. What did we play? And we're going to talk a little bit about another big epic game. We're going to talk about Star Trek Ascendancy. Now, this is a 4X game, which, for those of you not familiar with board gaming terms, 4X stands for exploration. Billy, you're actually going to have to tell me. Exploration, expansion, exploitation, and extermination. So basically, it's a game where you use those sort of avenues to help progress your civilization, because usually it's a civilization building game, and you use those avenues to grow your civilization and ultimately to win the game through. In this game, you're ascending your civilization, and once you have 5 ascendancy, you win the game. And you gain ascendancy by collecting culture tokens, so building your culture throughout the galaxy, and that's how you end up winning the game. Now, this game starts off as a 3-player game, and you have to play 3 players. Well, you don't have to play 3 players, but the game doesn't really fully work unless you're playing a minimum of 3 players. So
apparently you'll be playing with 4. You said you're playing with 5?
Oh, we're playing with 5 because so the base game comes with Klingon, Federation, and Romulans, your favorites, Romulans.
Look at that.
As you can see from the box.
Sneaky birds of prey.
And then there's 2 expansions that were just recently released, the Ferengi and the Cardassians.
I feel like the Ferengi would thrive in this game.
So, well...
Ferengi is in Persian is foreigner.
Oh, really? Oh, I think I knew that. See, that if that was a question, you would have been 2 more points. So now in this game, and what's great is that each faction has like its own way of ascending and gaining those culture. Now, this is what you get in the box. Okay, and if you see here, those are the planet system tokens. And then here are the homeworld tokens, the home system tokens. These are your player boards. They track things like they give you your special abilities throughout the game. There's each player, each faction has 2 special abilities, and then they have your weapons rating and your shields rating, and those basically have to do with your defense for the D6 rolls and your offense for the D6 rolls. You have your...
I just keep picturing the Ferengi. I'm like, do they get stolen starships to use? Because acquired starships to use?
Oh, no, it's even better.
Oh, okay.
It's simplistic and so thematic, and I'll tell you in a minute. So each faction gets a research and development deck. So that's like you're leveling up, gaining more abilities, leveling up your shields and things like that. And you can do projects. Each faction gets trade agreement cards, so you can have agreements with other factions to gain resources at the beginning of each turn. Each of your turns, you gain them if you have those tokens. So you can see where that might come into play with the Ferengi. It also allows you, if you have a trade agreement, you're allowed to pass through star systems that have the other players' ships in it. Mm-hmm. And I think it might even be like there's 3 levels of trade, and if it's 2 or 3, you can pass right through. If it's 1, you have to ask. So there's some like player interaction, and you can decide, I don't feel like letting you through this time, and it may cause problems in the future or not. So you also get these fleet cards. So when you build your ships, so these here are the ships. They represent 1 ship. These you'll have 3 fleet tokens, which are the ship on a little pedestal that has a fleet number next to it, and that'll correspond to the fleet card. And there's 2 sides to each fleet card, and each fleet can have a number of ships on it. So that one fleet can go to warp and travel from system to system, and you're actually bringing like 6 ships with it. Okay, or you can flip it over, carry less ships, and it has a special ability, like maybe in battle or when you get to a system, and so forth. Then you have your various tokens. You have your, these things over here are space lanes. So you connect the system tokens with space lanes. And there's 2 spaces, 3 spaces, and 4 space blades. And then what happens is that when you get, I'll show a brief
They're
picture
not
of
the
it.
same. Oh, okay, there we go.
So this will be this is similar to how your board will get set up. You can see that there's different systems connected through different space lanes. That's how you travel through. The cool thing is that if you have a system that's only connected by one space lane, that system can actually rotate around as it's being explored. So for instance, if you're at this system and you go to warp and you put out a space lane, you could actually connect it to this system down here by moving this one over or moving this one wherever you need to. You can move both of them to connect. So later on in the game, so each player will start at their home system, right? So here's Earth, here's Romulus, and here's the Klingons.
Does Star Trek
Kronos.
Does Star Trek actually implore a space lane system in their travels?
There's indications that there are routes that are simply safer or more efficient because you don't have to go past certain celestial bodies that would affect navigation.
You know, all those asteroid fields that Han Solo likes so much.
There's there's an episode of TNG where there's a specific area of space where it's actually tearing the fabric of space because you're traveling at such a high warp. So in that particular section, you have to go below a minimum warp speed, so on and so forth. So that's just the way they explore in this system. Then you
By the way,
have...
it's that episode that gave me the idea that, isn't Warp 9 dangerous?
Oh, yeah. Then you have exploration cards here. And so what'll happen is you start off in your home system. So I think this is Romulus up here. So let's say there's nothing on the board. There's just the 3 home system. That's how you start. Okay, so Earth, Romulus, and Kronos. So you start and you say, okay, I'm gonna throw a. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze.
God bless you.
Excuse me.
Oh my God.
Pardon me. So sorry.
Oh my God.
So
That macaque came right out of you.
so here's another close up of a system. So what you do is you pull your ship off of the system and you put a little warp token next to it. That indicates that you are leaving warp from that system. Now, at the beginning or end of every turn, you add a warp token to a ship that's currently in warp. Okay, and what that means is that if you want to drop out of warp, so let's say this fleet here is entered into warp into this system. One warp token will get you to the next system.
Right, but if you have 4 warp tokens,
You could go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then pop out.
and just get across the board.
Yeah. Assuming there are no enemy ships in any of those
Would that
sectors.
work if you're moving a whole fleet?
Yeah, so this is a fleet token here.
Okay.
So this is a fleet token, and you can indicate, so it's the fleet 1, and then on this card is the smaller little ships. So at any point, you can, I think you might have to take an action. So you start off with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 actions. Okay? 6 command actions. And then what happens is you expend those actions on your turn, and then you move to the next player, and they all get refreshed. You can use project cards, research and development, to add actions. As you level in ascendancy, I think you gain extra actions, so you can do a lot of different things. It's 1 action to put a ship into warp. It's 1 action to take a ship out of warp. But if a ship is in warp at the beginning or end of your turn, it gets an additional warp token at no charge. So you can sort of bank them up and save them up. Now, if there are no systems connected to your home system, you could take an action to enter warp and then take an action to exit warp. And what you do is you roll a d6, and it'll tell you how long the space lane is going to be when you come out of warp. So you roll d6, you take that length of space lane, you lay it down, and then you draw from the system tiles at random. You draw a system, and you put it down. Now, the first thing is that if it has a red alert symbol, like this one, you can sort of see this one as a red alert symbol. That means that there's an immediate hazard whenever you enter the system. So every single time
Like
a
it's just
ship or a
always,
fleet
it's always hostile
enters the
territory,
system.
or it's always meteor storms.
Yeah. So oftentimes there's like this down here. This, instead of being a planetary system, is like a nebula for research. But it generally, all of those have hazards entering the system, right? So the first thing you have to do is there'll be a number on that. So you have to roll a die to check to see if your ship, like your shields, are capable enough to withstand the
whatever's
Sneezed away the viewers. Thanks, Shane.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. That was a pretty strong sneeze, though.
But like, all I can think of is the Dyson Sphere.
Yeah.
When you talk about that research, and then how the Enterprise almost got themselves killed because of the freaking Dyson Sphere,
Yeah.
and they're like, so we left it there, and Starfleet is sending 2 science vessels to study the Dyson Sphere because obviously we almost got ourselves killed. I'm like, and people say these episodes don't have humor.
Yeah. And in fact, in Star Trek Online, the Dyson Sphere has. Actually, there's a gateway. They find out that there's an Alachi gateway or an Iconian gateway. An Alachi gateway. There's I think it's an Iconian space gateway that transports you to a Dyson Sphere, and then you find out that there's another Dyson Sphere in the Delta Quadrant. So that's how in the game you can get to the Delta Quadrant. And then like half the cast of Voyager comes back and voices their characters in the game. It's amazing. I might do a whole segment on Star Trek Online because it's really good. Anyway, I'll get you playing it before long. You'll see. It's a really good game. So you can enter warp. So the first thing you do is roll for this check. Assuming that you... So I've done things where on my first turn, the very first thing I've done is create a fleet, enter warp, come out of warp, and then they get blown up. Because I failed the check. Which sometimes happens with spaceships. But you got to remember, this game takes place over hundreds of years. Okay? Of space years.
And apparently it feels that way when you play for 5 hours. Okay. Let me just stay. I'll just sit up like a good person.
I think the thing just popped out.
I'm sure it popped out. I'm sure it's fine.
So the the reason it's 5 hours because it's 1 hour per player.
Oh my god! I'm sure
Your
that
entire life flashed before your eyes.
I'm sure if your sneeze chased away viewers, my screen brought them back to laugh at us.
Woo! So if you successfully make the check, then you draw an exploration card. One of these. You draw an exploration card, and and then you discover what is in the system. Is it a pre-warp civilization? Is there nothing in the system so you can colonize it? Is there a warp-capable civilization? What level warp civilization is it? So those are the different things that come out. Now, on the planets, and you'll see in this close-up, there are nodes and... I forget what these are called. They're called... It's like colonization nodes or something. But so in order to... So the red nodes are production. The yellow nodes are culture. And the blue nodes are research. So those are like the currencies, the resources that you'll gain. Okay? Now, production is basically one of the currencies you'll use to build starships and other facilities. Research is how you'll complete your projects, your research and development projects, so you can gain additional powers and additional abilities. And then the culture tokens are what you'll use to gain ascendancy. So that's how you win the game. Now, on your home planet, you automatically start with all 3 of those nodes. Okay? But if you go to another system, what'll happen is you'll flip over the card and it'll tell you what kind of civilization is there, if there's any. And then, depending on what level, the nodes that are available to that system will be built there. Okay? So then you have the choice. One of the ways the Federation gains ascendancy is what's called hegemony, which is basically them showing to the culture that, hey, come join our Federation. Become one of our planets, our allies.
You know what's really interesting to me, and I'm surprised no one did it? Some planets, with less technology, right, intentionally joining the Federation, so the Federation would share with them, teach them, open trade with them, and then totally use all that technology against one of their, long-lived enemies, blow them out of the water, betray everything.
Did that happen in
no,
the show?
I wanted to.
Oh, you wanted
to? I want like a whole season where, like, the beginning of the season, it's like, we meet the Trilorians. Aren't they so great? Oh my God, they're so sweet. And one of the Trilorians joins the crew of whatever show we're watching, and it's all wonderful and it's amazing. And funny, these subspace signals I detected going out every so often. Oh.
Let me write this down.
right? And then by the end of the season, it's like, oh, the Trilarians are so wonderful. Oh, look at their new starships. Oh, this is so great. It's like, what do you mean the beta time? What do you mean sector 7 of the beta Z people are dead? Like, what is this? Like, what's happening? What do you mean they hate empaths? I don't understand.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
No, but I've never seen it happen in Star Trek. And I think it'd be so brilliant for a whole culture to be like, this is wonderful, how remarkable. Oh, we're so glad to join you. And the freaking Enterprise leaves, and they're like, we're going to milk them for everything this is worth, and we're going to kill every one of those empaths. It's just like, don't you think it's brilliant?
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty good.
You know, and then of course you have the Trilarian who's on board. I love how I just made up that name, right? Like the Trilarian trademark here. The Trilarian's just like on board, be like, I didn't know. I was just sharing information. I was just sending it home. I didn't know they were gonna kill a whole planet. You know, and then the Federation like actually has to fight them, and it's like one Enterprise versus like 3 Enterprise level ships. Yeah. Because the Trilarians are like, oh, what did you think? Yeah. We weren't gonna go whole hog with this technology. Yeah. You know, and then of course, you know, because the Enterprise is dope, so like they outmaneuver them because they know everything, and they're like, we've been doing this for 2 decades. You just had you had your ships for 2 weeks. We're gonna blow you. Oh, I'm sorry. Photon torpedoes. Oh, what do we have? The Quantum X-99. Load them up. Boosh. We took out the Borg thrice.
See, Adam, this is way better than a soccer game. So, the other thing, too, is that turn order is dependent on a bidding system. So you actually bid your resources.
One more reason I feel like this game is for the Ferengi.
So the way to sort of gain the planets and the systems, control of them, is you can do a Gemini, which is basically like a show of diplomatic. Like for the Federation, it represents like, oh, we're going to show you how good we are, and you can become a Federation member. For the Klingons, it's like, we're going to show you how much power we have and will you into becoming part of our empire. The Romulans, it's like, oh, we're going to manipulate you into joining our empire
because they're scumbags.
But it's all the same mechanic, right? Yeah. Then
one
the other
is
thing,
just scummier than the others.
Yes, exactly. Now the other thing you can do is you can attack the colony. Or attack the pre-warp civilization, and the Federation gets a bonus to hegemony because that's sort of their thing. The Klingons get a bonus to like attacking and trying to take it by force. Okay, and then the Romulans get a bonus to when you're attacked, when there's a battle. I think it's when they're defending, or maybe it's just when they're attacking. They basically get to deal their damage first. So normally damage is simultaneous, but in their case, they get to deal their damage first, so they can, because it's like cloaking technology. So
they are just the biggest. They're just the worst.
Yeah. So you can also build star bases in the systems, and you also can research and the way you complete your projects is you put research tokens on them.
Do you own this one?
I do own this. I own all the expansions.
Should we play this?
Yeah. I mean, possibly there might be a space on Sunday if you want to come play.
Oh, I mean, just.
I'm waiting to hear back from
you. Billy and I should like.
Oh yeah, we could do that.
We should have.
I've been wanting to get Billy to play this.
We should have the cameras rolling and just torture everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, we could do it for charity.
We could.
Right, because that's coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wait, but I'm at a wedding and a baby shower. Never mind.
And I'm already doing like 3 tournaments and other stuff. So
okay, we'll do it for charity at another time for another charitable reason. Speaking of charity, November, most important meal. I'll be there, and some of KGS family will be there.
Hopefully. We're helping. We're helping. We donated, correct?
Yeah, we donated. I sent them all the graphics, so that's great. So we should be up on the website by next week, or KGS should be. And also, I mean, it would be great if we could have somebody demo, but I'm...
Shane, it's called the Kolinar. The Kolinar is the purging of all emotions. Spock was trying to do it at the beginning of the motion picture, and I think some other people have tried to do it, and Spock also mentions it in Star Trek 2009.
Yeah.
So you can attack, you can do different things, you can trade. So that's all fun and good. So now that brings us to the Ferengi expansion.
Look at them.
So they get some fun stuff. They get bonuses if, first off, I think they can have trade agreements with, like, they get bonuses if they have trade agreements with everyone.
Yeah.
They get bonuses if they have ships in other people's systems. So it's like, oh, we're doing business, you know? And they can flat out buy culture with the production resource. I was blown away by that. I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
No, it does.
It's
It's
we're gonna
perfect.
we're gonna get all this gold press platinum, and then we're just gonna buy culture.
Yes.
We're just gonna buy it.
But it sounds like that's all they ever did anyway.
Oh, I know. So
Right.
So this one looks like a lot of fun, and the fleets also will get bonuses too.
I love how Quark's mom was like the most brilliant Ferengi of
Oh, yeah.
all, and it's like a big secret
She's a female.
because she's a female. They're like the most
Yeah.
disgustingly sexist race of all time.
Yeah. And then what's so funny is through Ishka, they enact all of these like social programs, and then Quark thinks he's going to be the Grand Nagus at the end of Deep Space Nine, when in fact it's actually meant to be his brother. And when he finds out about all of the social programs that Zek has put in place because of Ishka, he actually repeats the line from First Contact and says, "No, the line must be drawn here, here, and no farther." And I just thought that was hysterical of that callback. It's just absolutely brilliant. So this game is amazing. You really feel like you're controlling an entire faction of Star Trek. They even recommend, because it's such a long game, they recommend that once you know what you're doing, that the first turns should be taken simultaneously until two factions meet on the spaceport. Because until then, you can't interact with each other. You can't have trade agreements. You can't do any of that
So
stuff.
everyone could be like, okay, I'm sitting up here, I'm sitting here,
Yeah.
you know. And
it's like, okay, everybody take one turn. All right, everybody done? All right, let's reset, do another turn, do another turn, do another turn, so on and so forth. So,
and it's like, we have to interact now.
yeah, and then it's like, oh, are two things connected? So let's finish this round, and then we'll do the we'll do the other stuff.
And
So-
then it's like, hey, I got Latinum.
And then the Cardassians, I believe, they get bonuses if they go to a system. I think this is what they get bonuses for.
And
if they
build
go to a
slave
system,
ships because
if
the other
if they go
scumbags.
to a system and there's a culture and there's a civilization there, if they keep one of their ships there, they get bonuses. So it's like they're occupying the system, like they like to do. So it's a very cool game. I've played it a couple times, but not like full out like we're gonna do this weekend. And that should be a lot of fun. And hopefully we'll have four or five players for that.
Remember the North American Indian episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation?
Yes.
God, so dated. Socially advanced episode.
Yes.
So dated by the language of the 90s. But it's such a great episode because it is. What's the name of that race we just talked about? They're scummy too.
The Cardassians?
The Cardassians. Yeah. It is a Cardassian. That's like, they're in Cardassian space, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, so like, they want to just secede from the Federation, and like, are you going to just like leave them alone if we leave them there? And they're like, yeah, we don't care.
Oh, it was such a political thing about the redrawing of the border, the Cardassian Federation border, and that's literally how the Maquis came about. And that episode is actually to inform you of to set you up for Chakotay's character.
Actually, I'm not sure they were thinking that far ahead. Because the first person to defect to the Maquis, which broke my heart because we never saw her again, is Ro Laren.
She actually defected after Voyager started.
Really?
It was in season 7. Yeah.
Oh my God, I got that all wrong. Okay, well,
so she was brought in she's part of the setup. Mm-hmm. So they introduced the Cardassians, then they introduced the whole border dispute, and then there's the whole Maquis stuff, and then oh no, I'm sorry, you're right. So she defects to the Maquis in season 7, and it's in season 2 that Deep Space Nine sets up the Maquis with Cal Hudson. Sisko's friend Cal Hudson, who turns out to be a Maquis person, and they're all creating this militia to fight against the Cardassians, and in some cases the Federation even. because they're worried that they don't have the Federation protection anymore. And that sets up... Voyager actually starts after...
Yeah, because... Right, and then Chakotay's character is birthed to that. I'm ticked. I do not know what happened with that actress. Rowland is like...
She became... I'll tell you what happened to her. She became Helena Kane, Admiral Helena Kane in Battlestar Galactica.
Really?
That's her.
Is that what stopped her from being on Star Trek?
No, what stopped her from being on Star Trek was that she was going to have... She left Star Trek because of her very successful movie career.
None of that makes sense.
She thought she was going to be a big actress. She was in one movie with Kevin Spacey.
Okay.
She thought she was going to be a big actress. It's Michelle Forbes is her name. And she left Star Trek because
and then she did not become a big actress.
She was supposed to be the first officer on Deep Space Nine. She was
that
offered,
makes so much more sense.
She was offered the Rolaren,
starring freaking
what became
role.
Kira. She was offered that part. On Deep Space Nine.
I gotta admit, it does upset me that I enjoy so many of those actors, and none of them have acting work outside of Star Trek, except for Patrick Stewart and Michael Dorn. And
what are you talking about? Cole Meany is in a bunch of stuff.
Like what?
Spiner.
Cole Meany is in. He was in Layer Cake. He was
Okay.
in. He was in Hell on Wheels. He's in something now. He was in Mystery Alaska. He was the mayor in Mystery Alaska.
Okay, he's doing fine, but mostly.
And who did you just
Brent
mention?
Spiner.
Brent Spiner. He was in Independence Day Resurgence.
Actually, how did they even dig him up for Resurgence? I don't even understand.
Because he didn't die.
Oh, okay, I guess, but it looked like he was dead.
Well, they said he was dead.
They did say he was dead. I mean, those jerks. But anyhow, I do like Brent Spiner. But again, only 2 Independence Day films. I like him. Don't get me wrong.
He's done a lot of voice work too.
That was the last thing I was gonna say. There's tons of voice work for all of them. Gargoyles, tons of voice work for all of them on Gargoyles. Even cast members from Voyager are freaking on freaking Gargoyles.
The reason Terry Farrell left Deep Space Nine, she played Dax.
Yes.
Dax. She left because she went on to that Ted Danson show, Beckett.
On CBS. Yeah.
And that lasted 2 seasons and then got canceled. So, and I went to a panel at New York Comic Con last year. I went to the Women of Star Trek panel with Marina Sirtis, Terry Farrell, Nana Visitor.
Yeah.
I think were the 3. And Terry, I think she even mentioned that that was probably a bad decision and that she probably should have stayed.
Nana Visitor, so cool.
I love her. She's amazing.
I do.
Also in Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, and she was even on Lois and Clark. She played a villain.
Did she?
Yes.
I love Lois.
Oh,
and Clark.
but the thing, like, I love every time. Oh, didn't she show up in? She was a villain more recently, but I can't remember the show. Oh my God, was she on Heroes?
Was she?
No, I gotta look up the show that she was on. But anyhow, she showed up in something more recent, or in the last decade, because now I'm getting old. But like I was so happy to see her, and she was being a villain. I was like, yeah.
Welcome to Cliff and Tony review 90s 1-hour dramas.
90s to 2017. Oh my God.
No, it was Lois and Clark. It was like 92.
Oh yeah, but we are starting with Highlander, the series.
Here we are,
Yep.
born
Adrian
to be
Paul.
kings. We're the princes of the
Let me tell you, Adrian Paul put me to bed every night during my formative years.
I gotta tell you,
Thank you, USA.
Dr. Crusher put me to bed. Anyway,
Yeah.
so let's wrap it up. This is a great game. I highly recommend it to any Star Trek fan. You got to have a group of people to play it with, though, and it does take a little bit of a marathon. But throw on some Star Trek episodes and give it a whirl.
I gotta take up the Star Trek deck building game that never took off.
I have the TOS version, I think.
I've got all 3.
Oh, do
Look
you?
at him.
What's
Oh,
the third one? The Borg expansion?
No, that
What's
was
the third
actually
one?
the TOS one.
Oh, what's the third one?
The TOS one is the third one.
Oh,
The
oh,
is the third one.
And the Borg are in there.
No,
Both are
no.
The first 2.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the Borg. So it's TNG. Then it's the Borg expansion, right?
Well,
And then-
no. The second, both of them had the Borg as the co-op version. The first
really?
one was you faced against Locutus. The second one you played against the Borg Queen.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
But both brought in ships, characters, etc. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think the store is a demo copy of the TNG one, but it's in rough shape. So
Most of the copies I find are.
So thank you very much for watching Read, Watch, Play. We really appreciate you giving us your time.
Tweet us, talk to us,
Yes.
message us, do something. Let us know. I mean, this is nice too. We're happy to see all of you. But I mean, come on. What do you want to see? What do you want to talk about? Which comics did you love? I'd like to know what comics you're reading.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys are reading any comics, if you guys are watching anything, if you're interested in, if you want to hear our opinions on something, I'm probably going to set up an email here pretty soon so you guys can write in questions so we can have some more interaction. If you're going to New York Comic Con, let us know because we're really excited about that coming up. And,
We're super excited.
Yeah.
I got my press pass. You get your press pass. We're press passy worthy.
So,
thank you, Joe.
Yes, thank you, Joe. And on that note, I'm your host, Tony Cox.
No, I'm your co-host, Clifford Permeter.
And you've been watching Read, Watch, Play, Live Long and Prosper.
Oh, good for you.
I can't do it with the...
I don't try at all.
Yeah.